Swan Lane is a very short city centre street, but one with a lot of stories. It runs between London Street and Bedford Street and was originally called Rackheath's Lane after Robert de Rackheath, who had a house here. It was renamed Swan Lane after the White Swan pub, which was located on this street from 1760 and last recorded in 1859. More about that later. Let's begin with this plaque set in the ground at the southern end of Swan Lane. It refers to George Birch, who was Sheriff of Norwich in 1604 and Mayor of Norwich in 1621. He was a grocer and apothecary, what we would now call a pharmacist. He lived on the corner of Swan Lane and London Street, the location now looking like this. Bullen's the Jewellers has been on this site since 1898, having established the business in 1877. This is 1968 and this is 1898. This is the entrance to Swan Lane in 1956, and this is what it looked like during the war. On the left is Buckingham's, a shoe shop which dated from 1862 and is seen more clearly in this photo from 1960. It would become Paramount Shoes in the 1960s and subsequently Bally. In 2025 it looks like this, now being Pascal Homeware Shop. Before actually venturing into Swan Lane, we'll have one more picture from the end of the street, this being Christmas in the 1950s with Buckingham Shoes on the left. Next up is Alderton's, described as a trimming warehouse in 1900 and a haberdashery in the 1960s. It opened as Arts and Crafts Shop LCB in 2024, but has maintained the historic window features associated with Alderton's. At number 3 is the Whisky Shop, but for those of a certain age, i.e. me, it was always Backed Records. This was their carrier bag, and this was their sign, which is now on display in the Museum of Norwich. This is a more general view of Swan Lane in 2000, with Lingard's Games on the right and Dipples on the left, and it's seen here in 2025 with their famous White Swan clock. In this street of jewellers, Dipples has been here since 1894. A little bit further down, this photo shows Butchers on the left and Tom Stevenson on the right in the 1950s. I believe Butchers Drapers started here in 1942, and here are some tennis balls sold by Tom Stevenson in the 1930s, together with an advertisement. In this undated photo, Butchers is seen from the opposite direction, and it's now the site of Turtle Bay Caribbean Restaurant. On one of the pillars between the windows of Turtle Bay is this blue plaque referring to Jem Mace, described as the father of modern boxing. He would become landlord of the White Swan pub in this location between 1857 and 1859. Finally, this is Swan Lane seen from the opposite end at Bedford Street, with Stead & Simpson Shoes on the left compared to the 2025 equivalent. This is another view of Stead & Simpson's shoe shop in 1936, and in 25 it's now Bites. Just one further point I'd like to make: why are these information signs put up at such a height? If you even notice this, you probably can't read it.